Hello, I'm Brett Robin Wood, and I'm offering poems and music and delving into this life business, and hoping in some way to give solace and encouragement, and maybe, as I try to make sense of things, perhaps it'll help you. Thanks for tuning in. I'm videoing this about a week after Hamas forces invaded Israel, and I hesitated for a while about weighing in and putting something out there because, how the online world is. There's so much excitation and things snowball, and there's so much confusion and ego and virtue signaling, and I don't know, I sort of thought, well, who am I to say anything about this? And what do I know? And it's all happening a long way from my backyard. But then it kind of came to my backyard because there were people on the Opera House steps chanting "Gas the Jews," and thought, And then I also noticed some of the other online commentary, some from institutions, some of them. Like there was one today from, I think, a university administration sort of put out their statement, and it was something like they talked about the layered nuance and complexity of the incident. The layered nuance, complexity, incident. It's just like, I thought, it's time to get off my fence, I think, because this is not a layered, nuance, complex incident. I mean, hey, yes, the history of the Middle East, Israel-Palestine conflict, that's definitely complex, nuanced, layered. But this incident, well, it's not an incident. It was a massacre. So, like, insane people just, like, organized and went in and raped and killed and mutilated and kidnapped and, did a barrage of missiles on innocent civilian targets. And that's not an incident. That's evil. And I just got to say that. And so I kind of come off my fence and saying I'm really feeling for Israel and its people. And so this song is a song by a Jewish poet. And Rachel Korn wrote this poem. I'm not sure when. She was born in 1898, I think, and died in the late 1900s, 1982, I think. Yiddish poet. I have been annihilated so many times, on the point of a moment, on the thorn of a word, on the barbed wire of hate, on burning roads, and worlds made bitter. I have been annihilated so many times, I can't remember the time or the place. And yet I return, and on the new I become renewed. On the breath of the wind and through my own tears, like a little seed sown in the fall, I become part of a new scroll, signed with a single star. I become part of a new scroll, signed with a single star. So Rachel Korn, over the course of her lifetime, would have seen so much happen in the Holy Land, and so many cycles of violence and armistices and peace talks and war and grabbing of territory and losing of territory, and she would have seen the growth of Israel as a nation, its strength, and in some ways it's come so far, and And yes, I'm not idealizing Israel. Because it's a bunch of human beings, it obviously also includes the darker edges and no doubt, done a whole bunch of stuff. But again, I'm not getting up on my fence. I'm not idealizing them, but I'm not going to be on the fence. I'm going to say also, like anyone who says Israel has no right to exist because of other crimes, real or imagined or embellished. So no, I'm right there going, yeah, Israel. So much beauty in that place, and progress with its enemies. The Abraham Accords, very interesting progress in terms of agreements happening not with hardline Muslim states, but with the more moderates, with United Emirates and Morocco, Bahrain, and real hope in the last few years, and then Saudi Arabia. Just I think in the last 6 months or last year, Saudi Arabia really entering into substantial peace talks with the potential for more economic cooperation. And I mean, just imagine what that would be. Saudi Arabia, which contains the home of, it's Mecca. It's the home of, it's the birthplace of Muhammad, right? Imagine they say, yeah, we recognize Israel. And that was getting somewhere, I believe, as far as I can tell. And then this happened. And of course, Israel is going to respond, and they're going to go hard. And they have to. They have to show strength. And it's going to get messy and awful. And so many Palestinian innocents are going to suffer and die. And I think the Hamas are quite happy to use them as human shields. I mean, yeah, they've got a pretty clearly stated agenda to end Israel, and I think the thing about this massacre is so many awful images of it are available because the Hamas perpetrators videoed so much of it and uploaded it that it was designed in a way to be televised. And awful and grotesque as that is, one thing it does is it makes it very, very clear who the enemy is, the enemy of civilization, as in being civilized, because it's very, very clear that was not about reclaiming occupied territories or any of those issues which are real and worth exploring. But no, that incident, that massacre, that atrocity, that was hatred, that was fervor, that was the distortion of religion. And anyway, now I'm rambling on. Maybe I'll just leave it with the poem, eh? The breath, the wind, and through my own tears, and through all that, the breath of the wind. The wind keeps blowing. Sometimes it's a storm, devastating storm, and through my own tears, and like a little seed, who knows what's growing through all of this. I mean, I don't want to try to tie it up in a neat little bow. I can feel myself wanting to do that, just kind of make it all okay, tie up the nice little poem, leave us with hope. I don't think it's a time for hope. It's not. I think it's a time for anger and retribution. And what I hope to do with this poem, with all poetry, I think poetry can help us stay in contact with our soul during times like this. I think that's what's important, because the soul, unlike a lot of other things in the material world, the soul, I think, maybe can hold and integrate both the dark forces of retribution and violence with the deep longing for peace and reconciliation. I think the soul can hold all of that and hold space for all of that as it is. Hold space until space opens up, and we don't know when and how. Such a complex mystery unfolding, and it's a whole mishmash of money and oil and politics and diplomacy and culture and society and military and human and inhuman, and this grand sweeps of history and movements of attitude, and God, I can't get my head around it, and all I can do is play some music and offer this, and I hope that my ability, it's not really ability, is it? My attempt to make sense of this in some way and wrestle with it. I hope that it maybe helps you, maybe add something to the pool of meaning. So love to you, and thanks so much for tuning into this channel of song and poetry and delving. Bye.